Hey guys, welcome to VA Fridays. So today we're going to be going into the idea of something called lender overlays. Now, lender overlays apply to all loan programs, but specifically we're going to go into VA specifically. So when it comes to lender overlays, we kind of alluded to this from my previous blog post about the whole credit score requirements. What is a credit score and how some lenders can be different with their credit score. And it's actually a lender overlay rather than actual VA home loan requirement. So to kind of go into more detail about the common lender overlays is, first let's explain what a lender overlay is. So in a very, very simple explanation is that the VA, Department of Veteran Affairs, has created the VA Lender's Handbook on how VA loans need to be ran at a minimum. What qualifies a borrower, what the lender needs to do, everything, just the entire book on it, right? The next thing is that the lenders, the banks, credit unions, whoever who have the money to lend with the VA loan, they may impose extra requirements on what they allow for borrowers to get a VA loan. So even though, for example, that we talked about where the VA actually doesn't have a minimum credit score, the lender or credit union or bank, whoever's lending on the VA loan with the VA loan, may impose extra requirements like having a credit score and other things that make it a little bit harder to get a VA loan than it was intended. So why is this the case? Well, the main thing is that the lenders and the banks and these financial institutions, they have shareholders, they have a board of directors, and they want to make sure they're holding and creating portfolios, mortgages that are on their books that are going to perform well, right? There's a whole lot of risk. So what they want to do is minimize the risk as much as possible based on the most common safe factors. And what they'll do is they'll impose extra requirements on what the VA loan allows. It's not good or bad. They're just looking out for shareholders, things like that. Now, what's unfortunate in the actual lending field is it's how it's being communicated. One, to be completely transparent and honest, I didn't really learn about lender overlays until about 3 or 4 years into my business because I was never trained on it. Luckily, I was in with a company that didn't have a lot of overlays to begin with, so my ignorance was worked out in that case. But for a lot of people who work for all these other lending companies who do have a lot of overlays, they may not know the difference between a lender overlay and a VA home loan requirement. They're two different things. So what it looks like is when they're communicating to you, there's a very strong chance they tell you that you're denied for a VA loan because this specific requirement, and there's a chance that it could actually be a lender overlay, not a VA home loan requirement. However, how it's communicated to you is that the VA loan does not allow for this when it's actually a lender overlay. So if the VA loan does allow for it, they just don't. Now, it could be one of two explanations. One, the loan officer just doesn't know. All right, so it really boils down to the loan officer and what they've been trained on. And also if they took it upon themselves to actually look into actually read through the VA guidelines on what the VA allows. So there's a little bit of initiative on the loan officer's part, but also training for the loan officer when they first join that company. So it's kind of go both ways. The other side of it is maybe they do know, which is probably a rare chance that they actually do know. And they say it's still a VA home loan requirement because who wants to say that, hey, you're denied a VA loan because of our institution specifically? That's something that a lot of people don't want to say. So they'll try to work with you and get you to their standards when your standard or where you're at could have been worked with somebody else. So that's kind of what's interesting about these common overlays is that it could be a reason why you're getting denied for it, but not the real reason for that specific lender. It means you could have gone somewhere else and they would have been just fine with where you're at now. Now, with these common types of lender overlays, what are the most common types? So to kind of give you an idea of that list of overlays that you may see and may get denied for, here are just a common list of things that you may see. It could be a whole slew of things when it comes to why you got denied or why they said you can't move forward. Debt to income ratio cap. For a lot of lenders, it's usually between 50 to 55%. So, which means that the monthly payments on your credit report to include your future new mortgage payment can't exceed 50 or 55%. When in all actuality, VA doesn't have a debt to income ratio cap. So if you're ever being denied by a debt to income ratio issue, it most likely is a lender overlay. We talked about minimum credit scores in my previous blog post, so please feel free to check that out. Some lenders can't go a specific maximum loan cap. So if, some of them can only go as high as 1 million, maybe 1.5. The VA doesn't have a limit. I think the record for a VA loan is $9 million. So that's a lender overlay, for example. If you're getting a VA loan past the conforming limit, whatever conforming limit it is for that year, for this year, the conforming limit is 806,500. So if you're buying a house above that number, or at least your loan amount will be above that number, you are considered a jumbo VA loan, and they may impose extra requirements because you're in the jumbo VA area. So another thing is future income and offer letter. So if you're getting a new job, some lenders require you to have a pay stubs or be at that job for a year. Maybe they need at least a month before you close. But the VA does allow you to close with an offer letter before you even start the new job. I've done this so many times. So this is just an example of how some people can be very different, right? I've heard a month from some clients, a year, they need to be at the job for the year. Maybe they have to be at that company for at least 2. So it depends how that information is interpreted. But sometimes their lender overlays have nothing to do with you as a borrower. It has everything to do. Sometimes some of their lender overlays have to do with the property. Some lenders have basically can't do manufactured homes at all. Now, these are manufactured homes on land, not in leased land, not in manufactured home parks. We're talking about ones that are actual real property on their own piece of real estate. So there's lenders that completely can the whole manufactured home idea with VA loans, leading you to believe that you can't use your VA loan on a manufactured home. Generally, these homes are a little bit more affordable. They're generally newer, and some of these nowadays, these are built really well. But sometimes, depending on the lender, they won't allow for it. Or they impose extra requirements like it must be younger than 1991 or 2001, something like that. Or they have a space limit on it. VA has the most flexible requirements when it comes to manufactured homes. By far, to get a VA loan on a manufactured home is probably better than any home loan program you'll probably use. How we use rental income from probably investment properties and multifamily. It's a little more flexible with the VA loan. The other lending institutions may not give you as much flexibility as what the VA allows. And same thing with borrow funds for closing. Like you're going to borrow funds from a friend or from a bank, like you're going to get a loan, or you're going to take some equity out of your house. You're going to lend against your own equity of your home to use that toward paying the closing costs on a VA loan. So again, these are just the common lender overlays, and every lender is going to be very different, and they will have dozens and dozens of lender overlays. Now, it's really hard to nail down, all their lender overlays because some of them can be really hard to understand. But just the key thing is that if you go for a VA loan and you get denied, the hard part and the question you would need to ask or maybe you ask this to the loan officer, is this a lender overlay or is this a VA home loan requirement? And feel free to ask them to show you where it says in the VA home loan requirement why you can't do this, or maybe it is a lender overlay. So, or just reach out to me and I'd love to help you and give you a straight answer as to what it is. I'm very straightforward. No, not here to waste anybody's time, but yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to interpret what you're being told by that previous lender. And there's a chance that what they're telling you is a VA loan requirement. And that's just what it is. Now, the other question is, if they are coming to any obstacle where they can't move forward, are they helping you to fix that issue, right? So what plan of action have they given you to meet those requirements, whether it's a lender overlay or a VA home loan requirement? Now, what sucks is that if they're giving you a plan to meet lender overlays, there might be a chance that if you worked with somebody else, you don't have to work on the plan at all. But again, if the requirement is a VA home loan requirement, then you're gonna have to do it regardless. So just gonna give you guys a quick synopsis on what lender overlays are and how it impacts you as a VA client, because it's something you would need to pay attention to. Just because someone tells you no doesn't mean that's the same for everybody. Just be sure to ask the right questions and making sure that just because one person says one thing doesn't necessarily mean it's true for all lenders. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to interpret it for you as best as I can. I've read this thing the VA Lender's Handbook back to front multiple times, and I'm always in the updates. So feel free to reach out. Be happy to help. Otherwise, that's all I got for you. New account.